Hello. Thanks for joining us again on the channel. Okay, yes, we've tried so many of these. Too many probably. But this one stands out. It caught me off guard. Let's figure out why together. Quick note before we begin. There's a discount link in the description and the top comment if you want to check it out. Now, let's not waste any more time and jump right into the details.
Starting things off, our first reviewer gives us their perspective.
This reviewer decided to take a chance on a refurbished modem router combo, figuring they could always send it back if the issues others mentioned popped up. After reading a lot of feedback, our reviewer was on the fence about upgrading from an older, but still perfectly functional, piece of hardware. Fortunately, the initial setup of the new device was quite smooth. The client chose to bypass the manufacturer's app, instead configuring everything through a direct web browser connection, which they found to be a much better experience. They were also relieved to find that the refurbished unit had been properly wiped, with no login information from a previous owner present. Getting the physical connections running was simple. After plugging in the main cables and waiting a few minutes for the unit to boot up, it connected to the internet right away. The high-speed multi-gig Ethernet port also worked without any trouble from the get-go. The real headache, however, came from the internet service provider. Our reviewer offers a word of caution for others on the same network, explaining that activating new hardware required a call to customer service. The phone support experience was a disaster, culminating in an unhelpful representative scheduling a technician visit for several days later. Frustrated, our reviewer eventually discovered a self-service activation tool within the provider's mobile app. By following the steps to register their own modem, they were able to get it working themselves. The key step, which the support agent failed to mention, was the need to completely power cycle the modem after the provider activated it. Rebooting any connected computers was also necessary to finalize the connection. The clear takeaway was to skip the support call entirely and use the app to avoid all the hassle.
Wonderful. Now, let's explore the feedback from our next reviewer.
This reviewer took a chance on a refurbished piece of networking equipment, and while it wasn't completely smooth sailing, they're ultimately pretty happy. Our reviewer knew going in that buying refurbished could mean some compromises. When it arrived, this wireless router looked to be in excellent condition, almost brand new, which was a relief. However, the box only contained the router itself and the power adapter. No LAN cables or instructions were included. The biggest issue was that this router wasn't factory reset. The previous owner's settings were still in place, meaning our reviewer could connect to the Wi-Fi but couldn't access the admin panel to configure it properly. The default username and password didn't work. After multiple attempts using the reset button on the back and trying different configurations with the coaxial cable, the router finally reset after about 5 tries. This client had to hold the reset button for a good 7-10 seconds each time. Once that was sorted, setting it up through the admin web interface at 192.168.1.1 was straightforward, and the reviewer mentions that you could also use the dedicated mobile app. Then a quick call to their ISP to activate the modem, providing the MAC address printed on the bottom, took about 15 minutes. Since then, it's been smooth sailing. They're on a 1 gigabit internet plan and getting consistently high speeds, almost 980 Mbps download via wired connection. While the initial setup was a bit of a hassle, given the potential savings and their technical background, our reviewer feels it was worth it. They haven't experienced any of the signal dropping or random restarts that other users have reported, so they're pleased with their purchase overall and happy to be rid of those monthly rental fees.
Awesome. Let's hear what our next reviewer has to share about their experience.
This reviewer went in bracing for a rocky start, armed with warnings gleaned from other users, but nothing could have fully prepared them for the initial struggle with this internet router. The setup process proved to be incredibly frustrating, involving multiple factory resets on their modem before any progress was made. The companion app, meant to simplify things, was described as unhelpful and difficult to navigate. Our reviewer ended up relying on online searches to troubleshoot error messages and technical issues. The key to unlocking the router's potential for this client turned out to be disabling their iPhone's private relay setting. Apparently, this iOS feature was interfering with the app's ability to recognize and accept the modem's admin password. Once this adjustment was made, the app finally cooperated, initiating a necessary firmware update. Thankfully, since overcoming that initial hurdle, everything seems to be connected and functioning as expected. The router itself arrived in excellent condition, though the packaging was aftermarket, containing the necessary components like the power adapter, Ethernet cable, and a setup guide. Despite the significant setup frustrations, our reviewer feels that acquiring the router at a significantly reduced price made the ordeal worthwhile. The included 90-day warranty provides some peace of mind, and this client will be diligently monitoring performance for any glitches or potential problems in the coming weeks.
That's all for today. If you like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.